Yeah, I had a pretty good week.
That's good. I brought you a Bible. You gonna read it?
I'll try and find time for it. Thank you.
You know, it's always kind of scary when you go to give somebody a Bible and maybe they don't believe. You're afraid they're gonna have convulsions or something, you know, and something crazy. I did have a weird experience years ago. I was helping this guy, and this was several years ago. It was back when I had my car business, and I just had a little cheap trade-in and gave the guy a ride. His car got repoed up here at he was a volunteer repo, I guess, at the Nissan dealership. So I met him down here at McDonald's on Church Street. Let's give him a ride down 840, and I heard him on the phone to this attorney, and he said something about, you know, he said the price of the car, and then I said, well, you're gonna have to add taxes on that car. You know, you got to have taxes on it, and he's real rude, like kind of like motioned at me not to say nothing, and so we're on Jefferson Pike coming off 840, and it's kind of a funny story, really. He says, after he hangs up the phone, he says, that attorney is $250 an hour, and he didn't want me interrupted. Remember, I'm helping this guy. This guy's walking, and I'm giving him a ride, trying to put him in the car, and he was just strange, and I mentioned something about being a Christian or something. Man, that dude turned into, it was weird. It was, if there was something demonic, it's demonic. And we're driving down Jefferson Pike, and I thought, man, my life could be in danger with this. I don't know who this guy is. So I pulled over, and I figured I better kind of be safe. So I pulled over back in front of my car business, and I figured, well, if I'm gonna have a problem, hopefully somebody sees it, you know, and calls the law or something. And I told the guy, just get out of my car. He goes, you just going to drop me off? I said, yeah, get out of the car. And he said, you just going to let me walk? I said, yeah, just get out. And I said, man, I don't know what your problem is. You know what he's, you don't know what my problem is? And the guy pulls back his shirt, and his wife had shot him, I think, months earlier. And he said something about her, this is a true story now. He said something about her weight. She was overweight. And he wasn't attracted to her or something like that. And man, he said that when he went to bed, she shot him in both shoulders, I guess with a little 25 or something. And he was, I guess, one of them trust fund babies, and I gave him a ride went ahead and, you know, felt bad for the guy. Gave him a ride to the attorney to pick up a check. And it was the craziest thing. But when I said I was a Christian, he goes, you ain't one of them, are you? I mean, he was just acting weird. So I was like, whoa, this is some demonic stuff going on. But anyways, hopefully, you know, Jackson will open that Bible up and study. You ever study the Word?
Not as much as I ought to.
Do you? Yeah.
And I have a Bible sitting on my coffee table at home. So
well, when you see the problems this world's got, man, I mean, boy, we've got to be studying the Word, man. It's just getting crazy. But this thing with Matthew Perry, this really, you know, I know he come out with that book. Let me see if I can find the notes of it. But he had come out with that book about overcoming addiction. Yeah. And you know, you really, or at least I admire someone who can try to kind of handle their demons and problems and try to get help, and then turn around and help other people, you know. But my wife brought up to me, I never was a fan of the show. I never watched the show. I remember my wife watching it, you know, when we were much younger. But, you know, he was 53 and a good actor from all accounts that I know. Yep. And my understanding, he had a skiing accident, and I'm assuming hurt his knee or something, was put on, I believe it was Vicodin. I'm not familiar with that, but was put on Vicodin and became addicted to it. Oh yeah. And maybe it was first he was you know, drinking a lot and alcohol, and then I guess they found him in a hot tub. I'm assuming he drowned.
Either that, or I mean I haven't delved too deep into it, but I've heard it's either stroke, from some complication, or just something strange.
He was taking 55. I don't know what Vicodin is, but taking 55 a day and got down to 128 pounds. Lord. Didn't know how to stop, and I guess bad alcoholic. This is what my wife told me that I thought was really pretty peculiar. He had been to rehab 15 times over the years, in and out of rehab, 15 times. And here's what is astonishing, if this mentions it. I thought my wife said that he had spent $7 million on rehab treatments.
Yep.
$7 million. I mean, think about it. Let that just sit in. $7 million on rehab. You know? And I mean, it is just wild. I had a guy on the radio with me years ago, well, a few years back, Gene Garcia with Teen Challenge. I hope Gene doesn't mind me mentioning him on the radio, because he gave his testimony on the radio. He was jacked up on heroin, living on the streets, living in the woods. He said he prayed and just said, God, I need some help. And he seen a truck that said hope on it, H-O-P-E, hope.
Yep. Prayed
for the Lord to heal him, and he got healed of addiction. You know how much that cost him? Zero.
Yep.
Matt Perry spent $7 million. $7 million. 15 rehab treatments. It's just it's heartbreaking when you see the problems that families have affected by drugs. I think I've shared, I lost a brother 2 years ago and had to go identify his body. That was pretty rough to have to do that. I always felt like I'd get that call, but I think every family has dealt with alcohol or drugs, some form or fashion.
Yep.
Have you lost any friends since high school yet?
I wouldn't necessarily call him a friend, but more of an acquaintance. But yeah, I've lost I wouldn't necessarily lose. I'd say two have passed away from not drugs, but like just life in general.
Really?
Yeah.
And so they were how old when they passed?
Well, one of them, he dropped out at junior year, and then I think like the next year I read on Facebook that he passed away from something I don't know.
Really?
Yeah. And then another fella, who was an acquaintance of mine, he passed away 2 years out of high school. He graduated with me, and he passed away 2 years after.
Wow. I mean, you think about what his family's kind of gone through. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, his mom is good. His Facebook friends with my sister. I believe they actually work at the Smyrna Town Center together, or they work for the town of Smyrna. I think that's how they know each other. But yeah.
Yeah. The young guy that was on the radio with us here a while back.
David.
I can't never. How do you say his name?
David Villa.
David Villa and
Villa.
Villa.
Yeah, it's Villa.
Okay, I'm sorry, Dave, if you're listening. Your mom's listening. I'm chopping up your name like this. His mom, Jessica's a friend of mine, but it was kind of mysterious how he, she texted me asking for if I knew anybody that worked in prison ministry, and I thought, well, that's kind of peculiar. So that she's asking me that because I wouldn't think she'd care about prison ministry, to be honest. But I run across that guy that was given that I bought that tire from mysteriously, and he invited me to that house of prayer and that meeting, and then he invited me to go speak to juveniles at the juvenile detention facility in Nashville, and it was a secured. I mean, it was a prison. I mean, basically, it was a prison.
Yeah.
And just mysterious how this whole thing played. And I called him. I said, "Hey, man, you want to come with me?" And he come up there, and I think that young man found his calling. He's just 18 years old and feels led to go into ministry.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even raised in church. That's what is like surprised me. I mean, he really has a calling. He come to our men's Bible study, got off work at 3:30 in the morning, I believe it was last month, and waited in the parking lot. Got off work at 3:30 and waited till he got to Hope Fellowship Church over there on Lee Victor Parkway. We do the men's group, Men of Hope Bible study. He waited till 7:30 that morning. But he spoke at the juveniles of the day. I meant to talk about it last week because it was last Saturday I spoke to him. And man, he was on a roll. He was talking about he's already lost friends to addiction.
Yeah.
One friend went to prison, and this kid's 18, and he's already seeing this stuff. One of his friends, I think, passed to cancer, and then one of them, I think, had a bad car wreck on I-24 near, I believe it was near Briley or Harding, right in there. And you think, man, he's 18 years old, already dealing with this stuff?
Yeah.
Boy. And I lost a few friends, but I never seen, at 18, I didn't see that kind of stuff.
You know, it's sad to say, but this is a different world. And
man, it really is.
yeah,
How do we change it? You know?
Well, with people like you know, you're doing whatever what you can do. You're doing it, and you're doing it the best way you can, and I can see you're helping people. But,
well, I try to.
Yeah,
You know, sometimes I feel like you're
but at the end of the day, you are just one person.
Yeah.
So.
You know, you feel like you're just busting your head against the wall.
Yeah. I looked up what because you didn't know what Vicodin was.
Yeah.
It's a mix of acetaminophen, which is like in over-the-counter like painkillers like Tylenol and Advil and whatnot. It's a mix of that, and then this thing called hydrocodone.
Coding.
Yeah, hydrocodone. Yeah, which is an opioid. So
Yeah.
I kind of figured like it's got to have to do with opioids, and I was right. So.
The man, I tell you, I was in class the other day. You know, I'm back at MTSU.
Yep.
Professor, somehow they start talking about alcohol. Somehow the professor, and I really like my professor. No disrespect if he's listening, but really like the guy. And he made something about some campus where, I think Florida or something. It was a private college, something that allowed alcohol on campus, and you know, just I guess he make small talk with students, and so I would hate to be the Debbie Downer, but I said, you know, I don't drink. And I said, how many of y'all are with me that you don't drink? There was only three students raised their hands, and I told them, I said, I'm gonna tell you what, man, I've seen people's life wrecked, and I seen a guy making $200,000 a year. He was like 32 years old. Alcohol, cocaine, and women blew his whole career, making $200,000 a year, and blew it. And it's alcohol related.
Yeah.
You know, when I was 18, or I was 13 or 14, working at the Omni Hut, and I remember I knew her, Miss Tomlin. She was my stepsister's ex-mother-in-law, and I remember I was pouring water. I was a busboy at the Omni Hut right there on Mercer Road. Smart, I was pouring. I remember where I was at. I was over by the fountain. You ever been to the Omni Hut? Remember the Omni Hut?
Yeah, I do, but I never went in.
There was a rock like on the right side. You know, my neighbor, you know, started it, Major Walls, Sally Walls, and walked. And I remember where I was at, and I remember her coming in. It was a bad car wreck out the front. They had been drinking and drag racing, and Roger was my stepsister's ex-husband. So I watched Michael and Greg Tomlin grow up without a dad. You know, I think they were like 4 and 6 when their dad was killed. And I remember her coming to that Omni Hut. I was just probably, like I said, I was 13. I may have been 14. And I remember her crying. She goes, my son is dead. My son is dead. And I remember there was a bad car wreck. And Sally was there. Sally Walls, who's our, you know, become police officer later, first female chief of the state. And boy, I just got chills on my arm, just like the hair just raised up. And what's sad is his brother was driving, and his brother served, I think, 10 years in prison over that. Made choices, some bad choices.
Yeah.
Watched them two kids grow up without a dad in their life. And I mean, I don't drink. I know there's probably many listeners that choose to do that, but you know, to me, it's just you're just playing Russian roulette with your life, you know.
Yeah.
I think we've got Todd Warner's going to call in here in a few minutes, talk about the ghost light at Chapel Hill. And my wife and I were just in Chapel Hill last night. So when we come back, hopefully we've got Todd Warner going to talk about the ghost light at Chapel Hill. We'll be right back.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps. But I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance Policy Perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers Policy Perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available at select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliates.
Dr. Automotive Auto Repair and Maintenance Mechanic Shop Garage provides car owners in Smyrna, Murfreesboro, Laverne, and the Middle Tennessee area with excellent auto repair services. Deep-rooted experience in serving both foreign and domestic automobiles allows for proper diagnosis in a timely manner. Check them out online at autorepairsmyrna.com, call them at 615-220-0971, or stop on in at 1205 Hazelwood Drive in Smyrna.
AFFI is Middle Tennessee's premier choice for pest, wildlife, and moisture control. They specialize in those difficult and unique cases. You can reach them by phone at 615-300-2395. That's 615-300-2395. Or stop in at 200 Glen Rose Lane in Smyrna.
My wife and I enjoy going by Yard Sale Inc. We usually go to both locations, the one in Smyrna as well as the one in Murfreesboro. A lot of times on Saturday mornings we stop by, and their inventory changes weekly, so you never know what you're going to see, and it's mostly open box. The name fits it. It's exactly that. It's a yard sale. If you don't totally agree with the price, the staff is always friendly and nice and willing to work with you.
That's the Yard Sale Store in Smyrna at 111 Enon Springs Road West, in Murfreesboro at 204 South Front Street, and online at bestdealintown.com.
When I say VFW, you probably have some visions of a smoke-filled bar with a bunch of old-timers eyeballing you. Well, the Stones River VFW is doing things different. No smoke-filled rooms, no turning prospective members away, and a strong emphasis on camaraderie and community. We believe in instilling our American values in our young people through numerous programs such as Voice of Democracy, Patriots Pen, Scout of the Year, and VFW Teacher of the Year. Stones River Post intends on becoming a driving force to help, aid, and assist wartime veterans. So if you're one of those veterans with a campaign medal and you want that sense of purpose that you've been missing, then give our recruiter, Andrew Farr, a call at 615-490-5715.
Mike and Felicia Sparks, owner of the Vanity Zone Salon, want to invite you to stop in for your next haircut or color. Their stylists Michelle, Tori, Tracy, Brandy, Sarah, and Gail offer the best creative cuts and color for all ages, for men and women. The Vanity Zone is located at 732 Nissan Drive in Smyrna, to the right of the Crystals Restaurant. To look and feel your best, visit the Vanity Zone Salon today. Call 615-355-1721 to book your next appointment.
AFFI is Middle Tennessee's premier choice for pest, wildlife, and moisture control. They specialize in those difficult and unique cases. You can reach them by phone at 615-300-2395. That's 615-300-2395. Or stop in at 200 Glen Rose Lane in Smyrna.
All right, we're back. Rutherford Magazine Show. I'm your host, Mike Sparks, with trusted intern here, Jeremy Smits, and our host, producer, Jackson Smith. I believe we've got Todd Warner that's going to call in. My wife and I sometimes go out to Chapel Hill, Lewisburg, just something to do, get away. And
Yep.
Representative Warner, I serve with, represents Marshall County and Lewisburg and Chapel Hill, and that's a beautiful park if anybody's been out there in a while. And Todd was very
Henry Horton.
Henry Horton.
Yep,
Todd was
it is
very
very nice.
instrumental in getting the new building there. It's really been needing it for many years.
Yeah.
And it was named after a former governor on the same property that the governor had owned. But I believe we have Representative Warner on the call. Todd, are you there?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Representative Sparks. How are you, sir?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I texted you the other day, but sadly I didn't have no cell service in Chapel Hill.
No, there's places over here. It's still some dead areas over here.
Man, we were over at the little restaurant across from I guess the school, y'all were doing that trunk and treat last night.
Yeah, there was a bunch of stuff going on up here in town last night. The churches were doing some trunk and treats, and I think they had a big trunk and treat down at the park at the campgrounds.
It was well, it was really neat, and I had I enjoy that little town. I know you do. You grew up there and enjoy the park and appreciate the Henry Horton Park and your influence on getting more money over to invest over there. But I asked my wife, I said, what do you think the population is of Chapel Hill? And I didn't even know because I didn't have internet access at the restaurant. And my wife's like, 3,000. I was like, no, I bet it's 8,250. And what's the population of Chapel Hill? Because the figure I pulled up, I thought surely it's not accurate. What is the latest accuracy?
I'm not sure what's exactly in town, but the north end of the county has experienced astronomical amount of growth. And
well, it said
I'd be afraid to say. When we done the census, the county census, we were a little over 35,000, I think.
Well, Jeremy's got. I pulled up. It said 1,751 people, and I thought surely that's not right. And
that could be just right in the city, but there's so much growth right outside the city, in between Chapel Hill and Eagleville, Chapel Hill and College Grove, and even Chapel Hill and Spring Hill going on to the west. There's just so much growth on those outlying areas that have Chapel Hill addresses, but not actually in the city limits of Chapel Hill.
Aren't y'all home to United Communication?
We are. Yes, I worked there as a young man right out of high school.
And y'all don't have cell service right there at the restaurant in front of the school?
I don't think United has much to do with the cell service. They're into the internet and stuff like that now, big time.
Okay.
But, I have Verizon over here, and if I move around my farm where I live here, you can't places you can't get service on it.
Wow. Well, I was a little surprised with my wife.
That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing, Mike.
I know.
Either now. At times, you know how it gets sometimes.
Yeah, especially when you see the world in chaos. I mean, are you self-sufficient out there on your farm?
I am.
You got water there and a generator?
Got water and a generator, just whatever we need out here. Raise our own beef,
Something happens, gotta go stay with y'all?
Yes, sir. You can come on over.
Okay.
Love to have you.
Hey, you and I have talked about that ghost light, and the month of October we try to cover some paranormal stuff, and I think you were on with me last year and the year before that. Tell us a little bit about the history of that ghost light.
Have you ever seen it, Mike?
Well, no, I didn't see it, but when I was in high school, we rode out there, some friends and I, and you may have been one out there played some tricks on us. Some other teenagers, we got talking with them, and I think they went on the far end of the track and pulled a car up or a truck and blocked one of the headlights to kind of fake it,
It could have been. We used to hang around out there some when we were teenagers and whatnot. But yeah, as the old story goes, the story was that there was four men out there on the side of the railroad track back. I guess it was late 1800s, early 1900s. I'm not sure exactly when it was, but they were gambling out there, and they didn't have no light. They just had lanterns, is what they was using to gamble. And I think they were partaking in some alcohol at the time. They were gambling, and one guy, of course, was doing all the winning, and I think he was mouthing a little bit. You know how you get a little cocky when you start winning. And the story goes that they tied him up and tied him to the train track, and the train comes through, runs over him and cuts his head off.
Oh, wow.
So you go out there, and it's a guy that's walking around with a lantern looking for his head.
Wow. You've seen it?
I have seen the light. Yes, sir, I have.
How old were you when you saw it?
I was probably, I don't know, 15 or 16, 17 years old, something like that.
So as kids, did y'all just go out there camping or something or hanging out?
No, we just drive out there on the weekends and stuff. I mean, it used to be a pretty big thing. Of course, Chapel Hill ain't like it used to be when it was really what I call a small town. But people used to set up town on the weekends because we didn't have much to do. So we'd set up there at a filling station called Arco, and you would not believe, Mike, the people that would come to town and would want to know where to go see it. You know, we'd point them, you know, toward the railroad track. You know.
Did you ever play pranks on them?
Oh, we did a few times, and then you know, it's something we didn't have much to do. We'd go out there a lot of times ourselves on the weekend, and you know, there'd be a group of girls going that way, and we'd try to get out there ahead of them and scare them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you know, it was that type stuff. But it's supposed to be a true story. There was a group a long time ago. You might don't know if you ever heard of them, called the Chapel Hill. What was it? Any Chapel Hill Pickers? That's the name of them.
Okay.
There's a local little group here, little band, and they wrote a song. Us Two and Him. I said, yeah, the name of the song was maybe the Chapel Hill Pickers or something, but the Us Two and Him was the name of the band, and they've got a song that they wrote about that.
Really?
It mentions the Chapel Hill Ghost Light and all.
Well, you
I'll
know,
try to find that song and get you a copy of it.
I hadn't heard many people like Jeremy here. He lives out, Eagleville? Y'all live out there? And
No, I don't. My folks, they lived just right outside of the city proper. They live right on a Nashville highway. So.
And Jeremy here had never heard of the light. He said he did see a big tractor trailer though with a Todd Warner, vote Todd Warner sign out there. You still got that?
Yeah, it comes out sometimes too when it gets election year. It'll be out in the spring.
Yep.
That's good. That's good. I know you're proud of that park out there.
We are.
Y'all have got so much history out there. Yeah, man, it was just a beautiful location, and y'all had.
I don't know if you know it, Mike. I don't know how much you studied the budget, but we're getting there. We're going to get a new end too. I think there's almost $50 million in the state's budget this time, and we're supposed to be getting a new end. We got a new restaurant and visitor center, and the end's really outdated. I don't know. I think somebody said it was built back maybe. I don't know, maybe the 60s, I guess, when they built the park or whatnot.
Yeah. Go ahead, John.
And it's really outdated. I think it has a bunch of asbestos in it, too. Kind of hard to remodel, so we're getting a new end down here.
Yeah. Yeah. You kind of answered just my question just now when you said it might have asbestos in it. Is that going to be, that old end, is that going to be torn down, or is, like, all the new stuff going to be, like, added on to it?
It's my understanding it's going to be tore down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my understanding. Now, I'm not 100% sure, and things could change, but it's my understanding right now that it'll be tore back and the new end will be built back in that spot. Now, that spot right there is where the old Will Hoyt house was, the governor's.
Yep.
I think it was if I'm not mistaken, the governor's wife family lived there.
Yep.
And you can still see the old rock wall out in front of the inn that they left from where the old home place was there.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful place. Todd, have you been up to Paris Landing?
Let's see. No, I didn't go to Paris Landing the last time, but I did go to Pickwick right after they redone it.
Oh, well, good point. Pickwick is beautiful if folks have been out there.
Oh, I loved it, yes.
And then Paris
nice.
Landing. You know, there was a lot of controversy about taking down the Paris Landing building. In fact, I heard if you go back and study that issue, I heard it affected that guy's campaign, and he ended up getting beat up there. I won't say his name on the air, but he ended up getting beat. A lot of folks think it had something to do with that park. But if you look at it now, man, it's gorgeous.
What's the deal with it? Well, I mean, what was the issue with them not wanting to tear that building
Well,
down?
I mean, it was a significant investment. And I think, a lot of folks, they don't like, some people don't like to see change sometimes. And,
right.
And somehow I don't really know it's been several years ago, but I'd be under the same impression. You want to be efficient, you want to invest wisely, and that's a solid building over there.
We want to save all the tax dollars we can if it's feasible.
But I tell you what, Todd, we went by there the other day, and my wife and I were driving out there, and I'm so used to just showing up, and there's a room available, and she said, well, let me pull up, see if they have anything. And she said, there's one room available. And I said, go ahead and call them. Because it's really getting, I guess they had a conference there last night. And, but if folks hadn't visited our Tennessee State parks, I mean, we've got such an awesome park system. And,
we do.
It really is. But I know you've had 3 governors come out of Marshall County, haven't y'all?
Well, yeah, we have.
Well, are you going to run? You running for governor?
No, I'm not there yet, Mike.
No, you're not there yet.
Not there.
No. But y'all have had three governors. The only one that I can think off the top of my head is Henry Horton.
And wait a minute, Henry Horton. I think Governor McCool. Governor McCool, and you got me on the other one here. Shoot.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stump you.
My history teachers, if any of them are listening, they'll be wanting to chalk me up.
Well, have your wife go out in the truck, and because I know you drive a truck, go out there and see if you can pull us up 100.5 FM or 101.9 FM. I'm curious if the signal is heading all the way out to Chapel Hill.
Last time to do that, and she couldn't get it. What is it? 105.9?
No, 101.9, and then 100.5.
Yeah, she says we can't get it.
You can't get it
numerous times.
I'd
say we're probably 40 miles from you.
Yeah. Well, I've had some
out here where I live.
I've had a few texts from people in Franklin and Brentwood. Then I had some folks in Lebanon, so they picked us up. But anything new going on in Chapel Hill other than the trunk or treat last night?
No, that seems to be it. Getting ready for this little cold spell. It's dry over here. We need some rain bad.
You still got that timber you was telling me about where lumber prices got so high, and you were telling me the scenario with timber?
No, that was down in Alabama. I don't have it anymore.
I just thought it was interesting. I don't know much about timber, obviously, but when prices were so high, it was really interesting that timber really wasn't selling, though, was it?
No, it wasn't. I had 300 or 400 acres of pines down in Alabama, down around Selma, and when I guess when everything, when inflation just started skyrocketing, I thought, well, shoot, man, this would be a good time to cut this timber. And I had a couple logging companies out there to look at it, and I said, it's not bringing nothing. I said, wait a minute, lumber's, you can't buy a sheet of plywood or press board. And I said, lumber's higher than it's been in who knows when.
Yes.
And I said, well, now's not the time to sell it. And I thought, ooh, something ain't adding up here.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I just made a little Facebook post about we're going to talk paranormal, and this is what I call one of them God wink moments, Todd, that you've heard me talk about. When I first met you, you were in our prayer meeting. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I remember that's where I first met you at. But I had, and I didn't plan this, I didn't set this up, but I just posted on my Facebook page a soldier's child. We've got that license plate that you helped us with, and we did the Jeep license plate. I want to thank Wendy Lloyd for that. And so
it's funny, and I don't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
I apologize.
Go ahead.
But it's funny you mentioned that because yesterday down at Horton Park and the Christian camp, Horton Haven Christian camp down here, they had the Soldier's Child's kids.
Really?
And they took them on a youth deer hunt. I had them out here at my farm, and they fished in the lake out here, and just had a big time. There's a lot of volunteers around town here. They really do a lot for those young ones when they bring them out here. And I know I've seen a couple pictures. A couple of them killed some nice deer, nice bucks, and they were catching fish up here all day long yesterday. So they had a big weekend up here too. So
what's the camp?
Funny you mentioned Soldier.
Yeah, what's the camp you mentioned? The camp, you said there's a camp out there?
It's Horton Haven Christian camp.
Oh, okay.
It's out behind. If you go out past the ski range, off Warner Road out there, down in the park, you take a left right there at the golf course.
Yeah, I seen something. I seen something up there yesterday when we were going by, because we went ahead and went to Lewisburg, and then came back through. I'd seen something there.
It's a really nice camp out there that they have. They've done a great job with it, and it's really nice out there. We're fortunate to have that over here too.
Well, I don't know if your wife knows this story. Is she listening?
She's over here getting ready to fry a little chicken there.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, I wish she could hear this. You need to tell her. Remember, you asked me a couple of years ago. You said, "Hey, do you want to go to this a Soldier's Child event with me?" You said, "I'll give you a ticket." You remember that?
Yes, sir.
And then I called you I thought about it, and I called you a couple days later. I said, "Hey, you got an extra ticket for Spencer Hahn. His dad was killed in Iraq, and I got the road named after him out front of Nissan. He was my coworker.
Yeah.
I trained him." And then you're like, "Yeah." And then I called you back a couple more days later. I was like, "Hey, do you have more tickets for the widow and his brother and the other, she's now remarried, and you said, "Yeah, come on." You remember that?
Yeah, I had the whole table there. He ended up filling up the table with that family.
You know what? Well, here's when I talk about God wink moments, and I hope there's some atheists listening in. Here you are. Remember, we're at that table at a Soldier's Child event. I didn't set this up. You didn't set this up. We didn't go plan this show. This just all just playing out. These are what I call God wink moments. And the widow was there. Angie was there, and Spencer and his brother John. Then she's remarried. And she's got a young boy, young son. I'm guessing he's 3 or 4. And man, this has been, 2 years ago, I guess, maybe 3. And you're sitting there, and this is a big event. You know, they had, I guess they've got some big Franklin Jeep group that helps them a little bit. And and I thought about it. I was like, Todd, you bought this whole table, and I mean, you don't have to say how much it was, but I know it was expensive. It was probably about $1,500, just saying. And I said, Todd, was you just going to sit at this table by yourself? And you were like, well, I just bought a table. And I said, man, don't you see how God's used you tonight? You remember that?
Yes, sir.
Is that not cool?
It is, and it was a good event. And they just had the Lions Club down here just put on a big golf tournament down here that I put a team in, and it was been about 2 weeks ago, I guess 2 or 3 weeks ago, completely sold out.
Really?
You know, I forget how
for a Soldier's Child, you mean? Or it was the Lions Club?
Yeah. The Lions Club put it on, but they done it for the Soldier's Child.
Really?
The went to the Soldier's Child Foundation, and that's a great foundation. If somebody wants to give to something and help something, I'll tell you what, when you see those kids come out that's lost a mother or father, and, you know, they get to come out and have fun, maybe get to do something that they ordinarily wouldn't get to do, I tell you what, it really makes you feel good.
Well, I appreciate you, having a heart for that, because that's headquartered in my district. Darryl Mack and I just had lunch a couple weeks ago, and I asked him.
Darryl's done a phenomenal job with that.
He has. Well, I asked him the other day. I said the tag, it just doesn't pop. I mean, the image he has right now, because the tag's not out there yet. But what was so cool when Wendy called me 2 years ago about doing this, I said, you're going to have to get a nonprofit. And she don't do nonprofits. It's just once you just help Soldier's Child, and I think they put a vote out there, and the Jeep community agreed to it. And so far, the sale of that Jeep license plate, if folks hadn't seen it, it's to the left of the tag, it's a Jeep front end, and then you got a little mountainside in the back, like hillside in the back, and then it says Explorer, Tennessee. I believe it's $80,000 is what is been granted so far due to all the people that's been supportive. So if anybody's bought that tag, or if they want to buy the tag, I didn't know this till I read up on it.
That's amazing.
You can go swap your tag out tomorrow. My understanding of the law is that even if your tag has 6 months left on it, you can go ahead and they'll prorate the tag for you.
Right. Yeah, I know they will do that.
I had never done. I just wait till they expire, naturally. But what he did, Darryl went back and he took the image, the M16 with the helmet and the boots. That's kind of commemorative of a fallen soldier. He's now incorporating that, I believe, on the left side of the plate, and I believe the plate's going to be black in color like the Jeep plate. But the Jeep plate sells a lot better because the Jeep community is just so huge, man. And it can sell, but the Soldier's Child, it's going to need some help. Well, also tell us a little about the history out there. Y'all have got the history of Nathan Bedford Forrest, which we can't talk about anymore. They're trying to rewrite history, censor history, and it's your community is well known for the story of Forrest, and and then him freeing the civilians up here that were about to be executed right up the street at our courthouse. But tell us a little about the story of Forrest out in Chapel Hill.
He was born and raised here until the age of 6 years old. Then he moved to Memphis. Of course, we have Forrest High School down here where I attended, me and my wife, and pretty much my whole family attended there. And but Forrest lived here to the age of 6. Then him and his family moved to Memphis, where he ended up growing up, and I guess stayed till the Civil War started or whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Forrest home place has been redone out here, and if you haven't ever seen that, it's something to see.
Yeah, I've been out there.
They still got that. The house is still in pretty decent shape, and what they've done to fix it up and preserve it, and just try to be able to save a little piece of history.
Yes. Well, sadly, all the political correctness and woke crowd has tried to destroy it. You've heard the account where at his funeral, for his funeral, he had 3,000 African Americans that attend his funeral. You've heard that story, right?
Yeah, I've read several books on Forrest, and I did. I was aware of that.
I wonder how come that's just never told.
It's just sometimes you just get one side of the story.
It's pretty amazing though that my understanding of it, and there is a book out there called the Redemption of Forrest, but to have 3,000 or 5,000 African Americans show up at his funeral I just think is something should be spoke about. I mean, people may not like it, but it's like, wow,
Yeah.
But
well, I'm a firm believer. If we can't look back at history, and learn from history, it's hard to move forward in the right direction.
It really is.
To look back, I think we got to look back at history. Look at the mistakes we made, and not to make those mistakes again.
Yes. My mother was from Scotland, and before she passed, I asked her if she'd ever want to, had thought about moving back to Scotland. And she said, oh, no. Scotland's a wonderful country. I've got to visit years ago. But she was like, there's nothing like America. But I told you the main protester over Nathan Bed Forrest at MTSU became my intern. And they ended up giving me an award. The Alpha Phi Alpha gave me an award. But me and that young man just had a great conversation. And he was curious about the William Wilberforce connection with Amazing Grace. And I appreciate you helping me with that legislation, making that our official state hymn. And I know y'all don't believe in music except for singing. Is that right? Because you're Church of Christ?
Yeah, we're Church of Christ. We sing from the heart.
I had Pettis Reed, the county commissioner up here.
I don't.
He's a great guy. I had him on the radio one day. He had John DeBerry in, and they had a revival last year.
John's one of my favorite now.
Is he just such an awesome guy?
You ought to have John DeBerry on your show sometime.
Oh, he has. He has.
Yeah,
Yep.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I try to wear out what they done to him, man. They took him off the ballot. Here's a man marched with Dr. King as a boy, and the Democrats take him off the ballot. Is that not notorious or what?
Off the ballot because
because he believes in life. Isn't that sad? That's where this country is today.
He was against abortion, yes.
And they took him off the ballot. But what they meant for evil, God meant for good, because he went from making $50,000 to $175,000, and he's the first African American to be on the first floor at the state capitol. The governor hired him. But no, we had a big revival last month over in Laverne at Randy Berg's church, Grace Church. But what you reminded me of, because I kid you about being Church of Christ. I mean, about music instruments. But he had told me. I said, some of y'all don't play musical instruments. He said the same thing. He says, we sing from the heart. So I guess you're used to that, aren't you?
Remind me again, what are you, Baptist?
I'm Baptist, brother. I grew up Catholic, though. I'm all mixed up. Well, Todd, thank you for calling in, brother. And I'll be talking to you next few weeks, okay?
Thank you, sir. Have
take
a good
care.
night.
We'll see. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps. But I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance policy perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers policy perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available at select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliates.
AFFI is Middle Tennessee's premier choice for pest, wildlife, and moisture control. They specialize in those difficult and unique cases. You can reach them by phone at 615-300-2395. That's 615-300-2395. Or stop in at 200 Glen Rose Lane in Smyrna.
My wife and I enjoy going by Yard Sale Inc. We usually go to both locations, the one in Smyrna as well as the one in Murfreesboro. A lot of times on Saturday mornings we stop by, and their inventory changes weekly, so you never know what you're going to see, and it's mostly open box. The name fits it. It's exactly that. It's a yard sale. If you don't totally agree with the price, the staff is always friendly and nice and willing to work with you.
That's the Yard Sale store in Smyrna at 111 Enon Springs Road West, in Murfreesboro at 204 South Front Street, and online at bestdealintown.com.
Hi, this is Allie Dowenhauer with Isaiah 117 House. Isaiah 117 House provides physical and emotional support for children awaiting foster care placement here in Rutherford County. We are changing the way foster care begins, and those kiddos are brought to our house to hang out and wait for a foster family, and they're given everything they need. We support foster children, DCS, and foster families here in Rutherford County. Visit us at www.isaiah117house.com or visit our Facebook page, Isaiah 117 House, Rutherford County.
All right, we're back. Rutherford Magazine Show. I'm your host, Mike Sparks. Before we get into our next caller, I'm here. I want to thank my neighbor, Paul Lovell. Paul's had some challenges health-wise. I was out there push mowing the yard yesterday. My wife was trying to tell me to hurry up and come on. We're going out of town. I've got my house for sale next door if anybody's looking for a 2,400 square foot home, 4-bedroom bath. I've dropped the price from $450 to $419. And I had a guy that happened to pull up and was asking me about it, so hopefully put something together. So say a prayer it sells, but it's the best deal on a 4-bedroom home, probably in Rutherford County. I'd say it's the best neighborhood. Kids can walk to school, one of the best magnet schools, Thurman Francis down the road. Parks down the road, the library's down the road, a mile track is right down the road. And a lot of the military servicemen lived there. Major Walls lived next door. There was a couple of colonels lived across the street. But growing up, and
was it a Levittown?
What's that?
Was it a Levittown, like a pop-up town for?
No, it's you know where I live, don't you? Woodland Drive off of Hazelwood.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but but it was at during the base, Seward Air Force Base. A lot of the officers built some homes there. And then the base closed. But you know, my mom died, so I bought the home next door. I got to sell my house. But if anybody's looking for a home, I'll throw somebody a finder fee. But anyways, my neighbor come over and cut the rest of the yard for me. So I want to thank Paul Lovell and Jackie for cutting the grass. You know, it's really nice of them. Yeah. And I don't mind pushing mowing the yard, but it's got a lot of acorns. It's called Woodland Drive because of the huge oak trees there. Mm-hmm. We had one fall, and it was 245 years old. Rob Mitchell said it's 120 feet tall. I think it's the tallest tree in Smyrna. If somebody can find a tree taller than that tree, let me know. I don't think Rob has found it yet. But I want to thank my neighbor, Paul Lovell, for coming over and knocking it out. Because when you mow that yard, them acorns, it's like a war zone.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? I mean,
yeah. Well, whenever I cut roughs around this time, at the golf course, whenever I go and like do breaks and whatnot, I have to watch myself because sometimes those things will like fall from the tree and smack you in the face.
Oh, it is. My wife parked her SUV out there the other day, and I said, "Man, you need to move that truck because it's gonna get hail damage from the acorns. Man, they'll hurt.
Them things are big.
Yeah.
They are literally golf ball size too.
And they'll hurt you. As a kid, I remember being hit a few times, but I always loved the trees. Sadly, we've lost 2 of them. Yeah. That one is standing. But seriously, if anybody thinks they can find a tree taller than that one on Woodland Drive, send it to me. Let me know. And if Roger Thomas, I know Roger's thinking, I know where a tree's taller on Sam Davis property. I don't think there is. I think we've got a caller that's called in. I think Marty Luffman is called in, going to keep us an update on some stories. Hey, Marty, you there?
Hey, Mike. Yeah, I'm very interested in hearing about Chapel Hill. That's one of my favorite small towns anywhere in Tennessee.
Had you ever been out there? I mean, at the to see the light?
Yeah.
Well, have you seen the light?
No.
Okay.
I never saw the light.
Well, you've seen everything else, though, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff. But I used to buy all my hay for the horses.
Yep.
I used to go to Chapel Hill and buy my hay. And I just fell in love with that little community. I really did.
Would you hear me say, I couldn't get cell signal, and I was questioning my wife, hey, take a guess what the population. I figured it was like 8,000 people or something. And she said 3,000, and Jeremy just pulled it was 1,808 people.
Well, my dad actually just texted me while we were on air. He said it was 1,750.
1,750 people.
Yeah.
You remember when Smyrna was? We weren't that small. You remember when Smyrna was real small?
I do.
Martin?
I remember when we were maybe. Yeah, we were 25,000 at the most.
I remember when we were small.
I remember when it was 10,000 people. You remember that, Marty?
Well, I probably moved there when it was 10,000. That's probably when I went to Smyrna. But I didn't remember the amount. I just remember that when we were doing elections in Smyrna.
Yep.
That's when somebody told me we got about 25,000 people.
Well, you ran. You ran for mayor or something years ago?
No.
What'd you
I
run
ran against
for?
Paul Johns. I went against Paul Johns for police commissioner.
Did you? How bad he beat you?
133 votes.
133.
Yep.
I always remember Bob Spivey telling me years ago. We were at Rotary, and I think you remember Carl Montgomery, don't you?
Oh, Lord, yeah. I used to eat breakfast with him over at Sissy's Cafe.
Yeah, and I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but Bob had told me one time. Bob had a kind of a funny sense of, kind of an odd sense of humor, and we were there, and he was talking about that guy ran for mayor, and Bob said, I guess against Sam Ridley, and he says, yeah, he got 14 votes. He said, but he had 19 relatives in Smyrna. Did you ever hear that story?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Was that, is there some truth to that?
No.
What? How bad did he get beat, though?
Oh, he got whipped. It was embarrassing. He got whipped really, really bad.
What now he's the one that wanted to name Nissan Drive Pearl Harbor Boulevard, right?
Right, yeah.
Did y'all get along pretty good?
We had 3 different tables over. It's just when we started out eating at Davy Crockett's restaurant.
Oh yeah.
And then when they closed, we had to change over to Sissy's Cafe, and Doug Rayburn was the one that gave her the money to open up that store. Is what I heard.
Dub Rayburn, Baker's father.
Yeah.
Really?
He gave Sissy the money to help her get started, so we'd have a place to drink coffee.
Well, so you mean y'all had to move? That's when Nissan came in and took over the hotel or the motel
and the restaurant.
Well, tell us where the restaurant was.
Well, it's hard to describe. You know where the swimming pool and stuff like that is?
Yep, at Nissan, about there off Mercer Road, by the gate.
Yep, it was right in that area, right there in the trees. And there was a church over there too, Baptist church, and Nissan paid them to relocate.
Well, the church was over across from Walgreens and Walmart. That's the church you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about the one that was really close to the Davy Crockett restaurant.
Really? I didn't know there was a church over there.
Yeah, it was a real small church.
Oh, do you remember what the name of the church was?
No, it's just Baptist, all I can remember.
Well, see, I remember I attended the Baptist church over there across from like Taco Bell and across from on Nissan Drive right there towards Quicksack. That little church. Yeah. Tom Kent used to pick me up when I was a little boy in a VW bus. We grew up Catholic, and my mom would let me go over to that little Baptist church. I think I did kindergarten or something over there, and they had to move it. Richard McClary Jr. is in our Men of Hope Bible study. They owned a lot of that farm over when Nissan came in.
Yeah, they did.
And then Troy Ross, his dad, Jim Ross, they owned the property across the street. So you remember when all that was happening, because that's about the time you built your building on Nissan, correct?
Yeah, Mike, it was all farmland over there. Mr. McClary, he had a big farm, and then Mr. Ross, J.L. Ross, had a big farm.
So you knew both them guys.
The next thing you know, everybody's wanting to expand on J.S. Young Road and change the name.
So, but had you already built? You'd already built your property before Nissan came in, right?
I built it about the time they were coming in.
So, I mean, did that motivate you when you heard about Nissan coming in? Did you go ahead and thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and build my building here?
No, I was already started on it. I don't know why, but I just went ahead and jumped with both.
Good for
feet.
you. That was smart. Who was it? Sam really gave you that idea?
Oh, it was you, best I remember.
Yeah. No, I remember being built. No, that's pretty. I mean, that's having some foresight. Even if do kind of, I mean, you were like the only one over there. Other than that, where Quicksack was a garage, wasn't it? A auto repair facility.
It was a three bay garage.
So you were the second one there?
Yep, it was them and me.
Wow. And who come after you?
Waffle House.
Oh, Waffle House been there that long?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
I didn't know it'd been there that long.
I didn't either.
Yeah. Because we bought our place on Nissan Drive, which 300 yards down from you, down from Crystal's, where our business is. And I bought that, I guess, in 1990, January 90. I think I was 22. My wife was 19. And I always said this will go commercial. And I had so many pessimists and Debbie Downers. They're like, oh, nothing's going to happen. So, in fact, I was over today just blowing the leaves up, trying to get the leaves up. But no, that's pretty cool that you had that much foresight. And then Paul Johns.
I don't know if it was foresight or just blind luck or me being too dumb to realize it was dangerous.
And you were 33, weren't you?
Yeah, I was 33 years old.
And it was Paul Johns gave you that idea?
No, it was Sam Ridley. So it was.
Well, Sam really bought the corner for a bank, correct?
Yeah, he and I talked about it, and he said, I'm going to build a bank over there, and you build your parking lot. That's even my buildings turn long ways. We were going to face each other.
Yep.
And then Waffle House started going up, so I hollered at Sam. I said, what's going on? And he said, well, we don't want to build up there anymore. We're going to build somewhere else.
Wow.
He let me hanging.
Yes. Were you mad?
No, not really.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool you've had that much foresight with it. Well, Marty, we're about out of time. Well, thank you, brother, for calling in, okay?
Hey, Mike.
All right. We'll catch up with you. Folks, we'll holler at you next week for more of the Rough Magazine Show.